Hello everyone, this is Raman and today we will discuss about JavaScript types. And for program execution perspective, I am using the text editor as a Visual Studio. You can use any text editor which is compatible with the JavaScript. But because I'm a .NET developer, so I prefer to use Visual Studio. But it is up to you. If you want to use some other text editor, that is fine as well. All right, so let us see how the variables get stored into the JavaScript. So I take a variable with the var keyword and I'll say variable name equals to Raman. So when I store this value into a variable, this is called an object. This is called an object, which we call the variable object. So I'm storing a value into a variable object. So variable object, if I want to just say alert, or I will use document.write. Document.write to print the value, and if I just run it, it will print the name. So it prints the name Raman. So as we know, JavaScript is a language. It's a client-side language. So definitely it will have some data types. So there are two types of data types in JavaScript. One is primitive and second is reference type. In this lecture, I'm going to explain you what is primitive data types. In next video, you will find the explanation of the reference type data types. Primitive data types is very the basic of every language, where we stores the text, where we store the numbers, where we store some Boolean values. The languages also supports null values and undefined values. So there are 5 types of data types. So when we use the primitive data types, we are directly storing that value into that variable or variable object. Say an example, here I have used var name equals to Raman. So this Raman is a value and name is a variable object. I'm directly assigning that value to the name variable. So with this example, I'm just defining which is very commonly used, or there are 5 primitive types in JavaScript. One is Boolean, which can store true and false value. There is a number data type, which can store the integer values as well as the float values. Next is the string, which is the collection of characters. Null, which can store the null values. And there is one more data type which we mostly not see in the other languages, but it is very important, that is the undefined. So undefined is basically when you are assigning some value to variable that becomes of that type, but if you don't define that value and you are trying to use it, then it is called undefined. So let us see in this example. I'm just saying name, var name, and I'm just trying to print it. So in this case, it becomes the undefined. So there is a difference between null and undefined that we will discuss. But now, for example, I have a data type. I have a variable over here. Say var name equals to Raman. And because we are using var variable, so how do you know that name is string or not, or what is the data type of this string? Then we use the type of operator. This type of operator helps me to understand that what type of variable it is. So say an example, if I say document dot write type of, so this is the keyword in the JavaScript, and I will say name. So it returns me the string because this is of collection of characters, and it is in the double quotes. So let's have some more values here. So I'll say uh, document.write. I'm using document.write. You can use console.log if you want. If you want to use the developer tools, but I'm very much comfortable with this. But that is also fine if you are using alert, if you are using console.log. All this gives you the same result. If I say say true, okay, I'm using beer here, so it will come into the next line. Okay, okay, so this is boolean. So far so good. Or I will say br true type equals to this, and same way I just want to put document.write, and I want to find the 32 or some value, numeric value. Same way I want to print. Okay, so I want to print the string boolean number, and next we are having null type. So I will put null here. Actually, null is little tricky. It will returns object because it's an empty object. So there is a type which is called object type. Variable by default it is object type. So it is an empty object. So I will say document dot write. I think I had copied it. So undefined. We'll put undefined. So let us see what is the result coming up, and here I will put something. Roman type equals to. All right, so let's run it. So now you can see Roman type is string, true type is boolean, 32 is integer, null type is object, and undefined is undefined. So this is the case which prove it that what type of data we are using. So type of operator is one of the important one, which basically you use for condition purpose as well. So let me do some more things over here. So I was talking about null operator. So null operator is something which is having object type. So see an example, I want to print document dot write. Okay, and I have some value, say an example where nullable value something value equals to null. Okay, and if I want to print nullable value equals to null, so then what it gives you, it gives you true. So because we are comparing the null value, so null is always considered an object. So when I'm talking, one thing come into my mind is double equals to and triple equals to. There is a difference between double equals to and triple equals to. Double equals to gives you something like this. So I'm saying document dot write, and I want to compare 5 equals to 5. So this will return true because when you are using double equals to, it does not compare the data type. But when you are writing document dot write and you are using 5 triple equals to 5, then it will return false. The reason is because this triple equals to first compare the data type, whether both side the data type is equal or not. On the left hand side, if you see, it's string type, and right hand side it is integer type. So it gives you the false. So let me just let me put it something here so that we can see in the output 5 equals to 5. Okay, and plus, and here we'll say, oh, let me first you show it, because otherwise you will think that it is concatenating and then comparing. So let me do it. So let me remove this. So first output should be true, second output should be false. Okay, true and false. I did not put the break, that's why it is coming in the same line. So now you have seen triple equals to always a data type comparison. So if I take one more example, so say an example, you have a variable which is undefined, or you can directly compare document dot write, and I want to compare undefined equals to null. So in this case it will return true because data type is not compared, both are null. But if I say document dot write and I'm saying undefined triple equals to null, it will return false because the data type is not same. So true and false. So this is all about for the primitive data types. Now next is the primitive methods. So what are the primitive methods? So primitive methods are basically the methods which we use on the primitive data types. So let me write that, primitive methods. So apart from null and undefined, primitive data types, so these two data types, which is null and undefined, does not have any methods. Other primitive types has some methods. So let me show you that. Say an example, I have var name equals to Raman. So when I'm using this, then what I want to print document dot write lowercase to lowercase equals to, so I will say name is a primitive data types, now is string type, and I will say to lower. So this to lowercase is a primitive method. So now you can see that the output is in small case. Okay, and same way if you want to find the a letter first character, then I'm saying we'll take BR and we'll say caret. Actually, in JavaScript, first they are using camel casing char at. So we are using char at at any position. So you want to find the char at dot. Oh, what is going on? Okay. Char at. I want to see the character on the first position. Okay. So if you see, the value is should be R, capital R, because on the top we are lowering the case, but we are not assigning to that variable back. So it will be capital R here. Okay. Now, so these are the examples for the primitive type string. So let's take some primitive methods for the integers. So I'm taking var count and I'm putting equals to 10. Now I want to write document dot write count dot toFixed. So toFixed is a method which basically gives you the fixed decimal length. Okay, so let me run it. So the output is 10.00. Okay, so these are the methods, which is inbuilt methods in the JavaScript. Same way, if you want to convert it into the string, you can convert it into the string by using .toString. And if you want to convert it into some other conversion, then like for example, I want to convert it into the hexagon. So I'm using 16. So let us see a equivalent hexagon number is a character is A. It is coming up. Same way, if you have a variable of Boolean type, so I'm saying boolware something, and I'm storing true. Now if I say document.write, and if I say boolware dot toString, actually it has very limited in the Boolean case, so it gives the same output, but it is a string now. All right, so that's it for the primitive types. So stay tuned. Next lecture will be on the reference type. Hello everyone, this is Raman, and today's lecture we will discuss about the reference type. So in JavaScript, the reference types are very much similar to the classes which we see in the other languages like Java, .NET. And the value which we assign to the reference type, and that is very much equivalent to the instance of the classes or reference type. So first of all, we should know what is object. So object is basically an unordered list of properties consisting of name and value. And whenever that property denotes to a function, then it is called method. So with this definitions, you are a little bit confused what I'm saying, but let us do it practically. So our first task is to create the object. Create the object means when if you see any programming languages or any object-oriented programming languages like .NET, C++, or Java, you see that you create the object of the class. So in JavaScript, we can do such kind of things, but it is little bit different as the traditional object-oriented language. Here also we use the new operator, which basically denotes that we are initializing the object. So let me take one variable called object equals to new object. So here what I'm doing, I'm creating one object which is of object reference type. Okay, and also this reference type is very interesting and little bit different from the primitive types. So reference type do not store the values directly to the variables, uh, but what it does, the object variables store the pointers, to which memory location it is pointing to. So say an example, if this is object 1, and we can define the properties like object dot, and these properties can be anytime you can create the properties. So I'm saying object dot name equals to say my object. So here what I'm doing, I'm creating a name property of object. So dynamically we can add or remove the properties. Okay, so here I'm adding object dot name equals to my object. Now if I want to print it, I can use console.log, or I'm using document.write here. So I'm saying object. Now if you put dot, you can see that name property is visible here. So IntelliSense is showing that in Visual Studio. So let me run it. So here you can see it is printing my object. Now say an example, I will take one more object, say where object say 1 equals to new object. So I'm taking one more reference type variable, object 1 and object 1. Now object and object 1, these two are of same data type. So I'm writing something like this, object 1 equals to object. So in this case, what is happening, I have declared two variables, object and object 1. And here I'm assigning object to object 1. So object 1 and object 2 both are pointing to same memory location. So what does it mean? If I say document dot write br plus object 1 dot, you see the name property is visible here, dot name, then it should print the same value because both are pointing to the same memory location. Now next topic is dereferencing the object. So this is, we are referencing the object, now dereferencing the object. So dereferencing is very easy. JavaScript is a garbage collected language. So we need not to worry about the memory locations when we use the reference type. So the best way to dereference is just assign a null value to the object. So if you want to dereference, you can say object equals to null. So it means we are just dereferencing, or we are disposing this variable. Now, next is that there are a couple of inbuilt reference types available in the JavaScript. So I'm just removing this. So there are a couple of built-in types. Built-in basically reference types. So first is object. So as we have seen in the previous example, we can create a generic object. Next is array, and array is basically an ordered list of numerical indexed values. So we will see in an example. This is similar to the arrays you see in the another programming language. Next we have date. Date is basically to indicate date and time. We have error. So error indicates a runtime error. Next we have function, which basically indicates a function. So here it is capital F. And then we have regular expression. So let us see. So these are the reference types. So let us see one by one. For example, I'm creating a var items equals to new array. So I'm creating one array, and which has, initially there is no element. So to declare an array, you will write new array. And same way, if you want to declare current date time, you say now equals to new date. If you want to have an error, so you can say where error equals to new error, and here you can write something wrong. Same way, if you want to create a function, so you can create a function, say function equals to new function, and here you can define the body. So say an example, you want to write document dot write hello world. Okay, next we have the object that we have already seen, and next is the regular expression. So you can say regular expression equals to new regular expression, and you can put the regular expressions Regular expression is something which is a little bit tricky. So you should know the logic, what we are doing with the regular expression. Say an example, few very real-time examples are you are checking the email ID, whether email ID is valid or not, at the rate symbol, dot, these are used or not. So there we can use the regular expressions. So this way we can create the reference type variables. Now let's move forward. We will see the examples of all this, but not now. We'll see one by one. Now let us see the literal forms. These all are the part of reference types. That's why I'm covering in this topic. So literal forms. So literal basically it's a syntax is to define a reference type without explicitly creating the object. Say an example. I'm saying where book. Okay, and I'm saying equals to. Now when I'm saying where book, so it can be of any type. It could be array, it could be date, it could be error, right? But here what I'm doing, I'm initializing. I'm saying where book name equals to JavaScript, comma, I'm putting year, colon, 2017. So what is its, I'm creating one book object which is having two properties, name and year. So if I print document.write and if I say book dot name, okay, and document.write here book dot year. So if I run this application now, it will print JavaScript in 2017. Okay. So this is basically what we are doing. We are creating one object. This is object type and which is having two properties, name and year. So other way you can write it like this as well. This will work as name. You can put it into the double quotes. So the output is same. So this is the other way. But if we write the equivalent code of this, so if I want to write an equivalent code of this, I'm just commenting it. And what I'm doing, I'm saying where book equals to new object. Okay. And I'm saying book dot name equals to, I will put some object oriented programs in JavaScript. Okay. And I'm saying book dot year, here I will put capital, equals to 2016. So now let us see. So it is passed as well, and it is saying oops in object in JavaScript and 2016 as an year. So this is the equivalent code of this. Either you can write with this way or you can write with this way. So there are different way to writing the code, but the output is same. Okay. So even though when you are doing this, behind the scene JavaScript engine is doing this. Okay. So either you can write explicitly creating the object and assigning the properties, or you can use this syntax, which is more readable, more structurized, and it will print the name and year. Now let's talk about little bit about our array literal. So in array literal, we just see that how to declare the array. So I will declare an array, say where, say car equals to. So one way is that you can create a new array. So I'm saying new array. Okay, and you can define the array elements. So array elements, I'm saying, say Maruti, comma, Hyundai, comma, Audi. So these are the, so now car is an array which is having three elements. One is Maruti at 0th index. On first index um, it is Hyundai, and on uh, second index it is Audi. So if I say document dot write, and I want to print element at 0th location, so I will put like this. So let us see. So you can see at 0th position it is Maruti, and same way if I want to print at first position, I just change the index, Hyundai. Okay, now the other way is to create the array, means no need to write this explicitly new array. What you can do, you can put it into the square brackets. So in this way also we are doing the same thing. So if I want to print the second element now, it is Audi. Okay, so this way we can access the elements of array and how the array literals are used. Next literal form is function literals. So as we have discussed that function is also a reference type. So function literals. In JavaScript, if we want to create a function, what we do, we basically we create or define the functions. Say an example, I want to define a function called reflect, and I want to pass a parameter as a value, and function always return a value. So this, in this simplest example, I am saying return value. So it will return whatever value I am passing. Okay. Now, if I call this method, so I will call simply reflect, and I'm passing 3. A value I'm passing, I'm writing that value. Document dot write, so it should return 3. Okay, it is returning 3 value. So whatever value I'm passing to it, this is the function body. This is the traditional way to define a function in the JavaScript, and this is how we are calling it. Now, same thing we can do with the function type. So in function type, so let me comment it. So what I'm doing here, where reflect equals to new function. Okay, this F is capital here, and JavaScript is a language which is case sensitive. So I'm saying value. So there are different function bodies here. You can see that different types of methods or overloaded methods are defined. So I'm using one of them where I can return a value, and I will say return value. Okay, I have passed the parameter and returned a value. So here what I am doing, it is very much equivalent to this much, this function. This and this both are same. So if I call this again, so I'm calling reflect, passing value as a 3 and return value. It should give the same result, right? And also if you want to print type of this reflect, it should return the function. So if I say document dot write br plus, and if I say type of reflect, so it should return as a function. Okay, so this is the function literals. Now this all belongs to the reference type. So in next lecture we will see that which is I will say as a part 2 for the reference type, where we will see that how to access the properties, how to identify whether it's a reference type or not, and few things to identify whether it is there is one more concept which is called the primitive wrappers. So these things we will discuss in our next lecture. Thanks for watching. Hello everyone, this is Raman, and today we will talk about property access. So I will say this is the part 2 for the reference type. So property access means how do you access the property of an object. Say an example, I have an empty array. So if you want to create an empty array, you simply say a variable equals to square bracket open and close. Okay. Now array has some methods. So one of that method is push array dot push method. So where I can push a value into an array. Push means insert. So I'm just adding a value 1, 2. And if you want to print it, so we can put document dot write. As we see array which is on index 0, what is the value? So if I print it, it will give me the 12 value. Okay. And same way, this is the one way, means when you are creating an array and you are pushing the value. This push method you can use in this way as well. So I'm using array and I'm putting push So this will be the method name. And next, what value I want to. So I'm now passing 1, 2, 3. So in this, what I'm doing for array, this variable, call the push method, and the parameter value is 1, 2, 3. So it will similar to this approach. Now I'm printing it. So it will give you the same output. This kind of approach basically is used when you are using some dynamic thing. Dynamic thing in the case, if I say where, I will take one variable called method, and in this method I'm passing the method name. Now instead of this, I can call the method. So this is the same thing. Now this is kind of a dynamically we are adding the method name, and we are accessing the property of zeroth index now. So it results the same thing. So this is the one thing where we see how to access the element or how to access the properties, right? The other way is that means if you want to identify something which is related to reference type. Say an example, you want to identify whether it is an array, whether it is an object. So every reference type will be an object, first of all. And but there are some subtypes, like if we want to see whether it is an array, whether it is a function. So these things we can achieve with the help of instance of operator. So next is instance of operator. So this operator, what it does, it basically applied on the reference type or custom types, where we can identify whether it is reference type or not. So I will show you with the example. Say an example, I have taken one variable of array type, which is empty. I am taking one object, which is empty. So if you want to create empty object, you can create with the curly braces open and close. And I am creating one function, and I'm saying call it reflect, passing a value, and just putting return value. Okay, so now I have three items. One is item, array type, object, and function. Now if I want to print something, document.write items instance of array, so it should return true because item is type of reference type of array. Okay, same thing if I say document.write items, oh sorry, it is item, not items, item instance of object, right? It also returned true because all the reference types are object only. Okay, now second variable I have created object. So if I write the same thing for, let me copy paste this, let me copy paste one. So now we will check about the object. Object is type of array, false. So this should return false. Object is type of object, true. And next is our function. Function is type of array, false because it's a type of function, right? And reflect is an object, true, because it's a reference type. And we will write one more, document dot write reflect instance of function, so it should return true. So my third statement and my fifth statement should be false, and rest of the statement should be true. Let me run it. Okay, I did not put true. Let me put it BR so that it will be. So let me copy paste this. And to make it more clear, what I will do, I will put this as a string as well. So that in output window we can see what we are doing. Okay, so I have added for all this. Let me run it now. Oh, there's something wrong. Okay, so I made some changes because the plus symbol was taking item plus this value uh, as a one value, and it was checking whether it is an array or not. So what I did, uh, I just write one more document.write statement along with this. So now let us see what is the output. So here, okay, there is something wrong, or spelling is wrong. Okay, so here, meanwhile, we can see, or we can first check that document. Oh, here it is wrong. Okay, so let us run it now. So here you can see item is of array type, true. Item is object type, yes. Object is array, false. Object is object type, true. Reflect is, which is a function, array type, false. It is object type, true. It is function type, true. So with the help of this, now we can we can use the instance of whenever we need in our application. Okay. Now next is our primitive wrapper types. So this is the last topic which we are discussing about the reference type as of now. So next is our primitive wrapper type. So what is primitive wrapper types? These are the reference types which are created behind the scene. Means, for example, whenever you are creating any primitive data type like string, boolean, or number. Okay, so what is happening behind the scene? So behind the scene there is a primitive wrapper. So let me show it with an example. Say an example, I'm saying where name equals to Raman. Okay. And now next what I'm doing, I'm just taking uh, where first character equals to, and I'm saying name dot caret 0. I want to take the first character. And if I will print, so I will say document dot write and first character. So it will print capital R. Right? Now what is happening behind the scene? What is happening? So if you remember in the reference type, we were discussing that we take an object dot method or property, we can access it. So it is the similar way. It is a primitive data type variable, which is string, and I'm saying dot caret. It means something which is going related to reference type here, and that is true. Behind the scene, what is happening for this statement? We are creating what is JavaScript engine is doing. It is creating your name variable equals to Raman, and then creating one temporary variable which is of string type, and this temporary variable is assigned with the value which is passing we want to pass. So here name. Now this temporary variable is created by the JavaScript engine. Okay. Now if we want to see where first character, when this statement get executed, for this statement the equivalent code behind the scene, this is happening. And for this statement, first char, what it is doing, temp dot caret 0. Okay. And once it is finished, then it is doing temp equals to null. And if we want to print document dot write first char, it gives me the exactly same result as this was giving. So let me comment this and let me run now. So it should return capital R. Okay, similar way. So this is the equivalent code which is running behind the scene. And if you see, we are using new, we are using string. So string is a primitive data type. So this concept is called primitive wrapper types. Okay. Now here it comes into your mind that if we are using name as a reference type, then we can define the properties or methods of that, but that is not true. Why? As I am saying, when you are writing this statement, at this time, this particular statement is executing. Okay, my name is assigned to a temporary variable. Okay, now let me show you with one example. So mm, let me comment this. Okay, now what I'm doing, I want to do, I'm saying name dot last name equals to, I'm just writing sure. Okay, and if I want to print name dot last, see that IntelliSense is not showing first of all, and second it is undefined because it is a primitive types. And as soon as this is done, After that, that value is null. That value is null. Which value is null? Temporary value is null. And when you are accessing a property dot last name equals to Sharma, so it is doing nothing. Okay. So let me show you. First, let us see the output of this. It should be undefined. Okay. So this is coming as undefined. Now let us see what is happening behind the scene. Behind the scene, first of all, where name is created, right? And then temp string name is created, and then we are saying temp dot, because name is assigned here, temp dot last name equals to Sharma. Okay, and after that, that's it. After that, temp equals to null, because it is assigned null. After that, after finishes its operation, it is assigning null. So if it is null, and now it is not pointing to any object. So if we want to print document dot write, and if I want to print temp dot last name, it will be 0. It will be undefined, sorry. So let me comment this. So this is happening behind the scene. So if I run it, it should be undefined. Okay, last name is undefined or reference. So that is why it is not able to print. So that is what happening behind the scene. And whatever is happening with the primitive types, so the properties which we are assigning here, like last name, this is disappearing. How it is disappearing? Because we are putting temp equals, we are not putting, JavaScript engine is doing that. And immediately after that, when we are going to, means here up to here it is fine, and after that it assigns the value, it turns that object to the null. And then you are trying to print this value, it says it's undefined. So this way the primitive wrappers work. Now same way, um, if we use the instance name, so say an example what I'm trying to say, we have a variable called name equals to Raman. Okay, and as I told you, instance of is used for custom type or reference type. If it is a reference type, if name is reference type, it should return true for the string. So let me show you here where I'm taking one count equals to 10, where I'm taking one more variable found equals to false, or I will put it as true. Okay. Now if I want to print document dot write name instance of string. So if it is really instance of string, it should return true. So let us see what it is printing. It is printing false because name is not a custom type or reference type. Name is a primitive data type. Okay, and but behind the scene, it is referencing and it is turning to the null at the end of the statement. So same way, if we want to print the other, like count, if you want to see, I'm saying count is instance of number, then it should return false. Same way, found is the instance of boolean. So in all the cases we will get false. 3 false will be printed. So The reason, because in the end temp object is destroyed. It is not pointing to anything. Okay, and if I want to declare a variable like this, we can declare name and in different way also. So we can say where name equals to new string, and I'm passing grammar. Okay, and I'm saying where count equals to new number, and I'm passing a value. And same way where found equals to new boolean, and I'm passing a value true. Okay, now instance of is used for the uh, reference type, but type of we can use for the uh, primitive types. So if I say, if I want to find the type of name, so I will use document dot write type of uh, type of our name. So it should return as an object, not string. Okay, same way if you want to see the type of count, it will be an object, and same way we will find for the found as well. Okay, so this is the primitive types. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Hello everyone, this is Raman, and today's lecture we will discuss about the functions. As we discussed in our last lecture, that functions are the objects which points to reference type category. So how the functions are different from the other types? Functions are different from other type with a property called call. So this property, which is into the double square brackets, so it's a unique property from the for the functions. So JavaScript engine easily identified that this is a function, and this property we cannot use in our code. This is the internal property. Okay, so let us see how to declare the functions. So there are two ways. First way is that you declare a function with the function keyword. And say an example, I am using add. I'm passing two variables, num1 and num2. Okay, and here I'm saying return. So function returns the value. So I'm saying num1 plus num2. And if I would like to call it, I simply say document dot write at 5 comma 5. So I'm calling it here. So when you pass the real values to the function, then it is called the calling. So let me run it, and it is returning 5 plus 5, 10. All right. So this is the declaration of the function or definition of the function. If I put it down here after calling, even though in this situation the function or the program will return the same output. As soon as function is defined, so JavaScript engine, what it does, it checks whether there are any JavaScript functions are defined. If it is defined, then it will bring it on the top. And declaration of the functions are before it is calling automatically. So that is the job of a JavaScript engine. So even though we are defining after calling of a method, JavaScript engine bring it on the top, and when we are calling it, it does not throw any error. So if I run it, so it gives the same output. There is other way to define a method or function. What you can do, we can do it with the help of expressions. So second way to declare the function is expression. In expression, what we will do, we basically create a variable, okay, and we don't give the very function name here. Instead of that, we give the anonymous function. Anonymous function are those functions which does not have the name. So in this case, where add equals to function num1 comma num2. So function is the anonymous here, and it is returning num1 plus num2. And now I am calling it here. So let us run it. So you can see the output is same. So this is called the expressions. Expression when you are using a variable, and in the variable you are defining a function. So in the case of expression, functions definition should be before its calling. Otherwise it will throw an error. So means to say you cannot do this. This is not possible. Okay, so that's the thing we need to keep it in mind while we are declaring the functions. Now let's go further for the functions definitions. The functions are used as a value as well. Functions are used as a value means, for example, I have a function and my function name is say hello. This is my function, and in this function what I'm doing, I'm just writing document dot write hello world. Okay, now I'm declaring one more variable, say hello one, and I'm assigning say hello to it. Okay, now this is possible. This is possible because function is an object, and that value I'm assigning to some other object. Okay, so now if I say hello, so let us see semicolon, and now we will run it. So it gives the hello world. So I'm assigning hello world function to a variable. So what is happening behind the scene? So as we know that functions are the objects, so behind the scene something which is happening like this, where say hello equals to new function. Okay, and in that function we have only a body which I am writing this. Okay, so I'll put it into double quotes and this in the single quote. So that is the main use of double quotes and single quote. Okay, so behind the scene this is happening. Okay, so here I'm declaring or defining the uh, say hello, but behind the scene it is like this. So when I'm saying where hello one equals to say hello, then this particular variable is getting assigned to it, and when I call it, it is calling without any problem. So this way we can basically pass the functions as a value. Now let us see some more functionality for the functions. This is really a very interesting topic and very useful or important in JavaScript. We know that array, there is a concept called array, and array has a sort method. Okay, array has a sort method, and sort method, what it does, it basically sorts the values of the arrays. But there is a problem with the array sort. It takes input as a string. So say an example, if I have a numbers and I'm taking 1 comma 5 comma 7 comma 10 comma 20 comma 4. So this is my array list, and if I say numbers, because now it is an array, I can use the sort method. I'm saying numbers dot sort. Okay, so as per my assumptions, it should be 1 4 5 7 10 20. So let us print it and see. So if I say document dot write numbers, then let us see what will happen. See the output 1 10 20 4 5 7. The reason is because it takes the input as a string. If it takes the input as a number, it will sort 1 4 5 7 10 20. But it takes the input and it compares on the basis of the ASCII values, which is not I want. I want my function should return the numerical comparison. So to solve this problem, what we will do, we will just modify this sort method. So what I'm doing, I'm passing the functions as a parameter, and I'm saying it will take two numbers, num1 comma num2. Okay, and what it should return, it should return num1 minus num2. Okay, so I'm saying numbers dot sort, and functions are, I'm taking as a function as a parameter of this sort, and I'm saying I'm passing two values, num1 and num2, and return num1 minus num2. Okay, now, okay, so I will close the sort bracket as well. Okay, now let us see what is the output. So now you can see the output is what I was expecting. It is the numerical comparison. So by default, sort method takes two values, and if first value is greater than second value, it returns positive value number, and if it is less than second, if first value is less than second value, then it returns negative number, and if both are equal, then it returns 0. So what I'm trying to do it here, so in this case it is saying number sort num1 and num2. So this sorting technique is something like that. Num1 and num2, it takes two values. Which one is greater? First one is num1 and second is num2, 1 comma 5. So it takes 1 minus 5, that is minus 4. Means first value is less than, so it will return the 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 order is correct. The order is correct with the sort, and it returns the same value. Then it will takes the another value, that is 5 and 7, again comparison, so on. So whenever it finds the value which is less than this, it will again compare the recursively, and ultimately the numbers values are sorted. So this is the another good example of the functions how we are using into some existing method, like in this case sort method. Now let us move forward and see that how the functions are used as a parameter. When we use functions as a parameter, then we need to decide that how many parameters we need to pass. Say an example, in we want to pass only one parameter, we want to pass two parameters, three parameters. How many parameters we can pass? So JavaScript says there is no limit of that. We can pass any number of parameters because the function's parameters are stored in a structure which is just like an array, which is not an array, but it is just like an array, which is called arguments. So say an example, I'm taking one function and function name say reflect and passing a value. Okay. And I'm saying return value. So behind the scene, what is happening? I'm creating one function, return value is value, and definition is returning the value. Okay. Now, if I want to call this, if I say document dot write and I'm saying reflect and pass values, I can pass any value, numeric, string, any type of value. I'm saying I'm passing hi. So if I see the output, it should return hi. Okay. Now I'm saying I want to pass two values, but on the top I am defining one value. So where this second value will come, this will be the part of the arguments. So so in this case also it will return the same output because we are returning or printing the value which we are returning, right? Now, if I say I don't want to pass a value and I want to use the arguments. So arguments 0 I want to write. So in this case, if you say hello, so we are having two parameters. So argument 0 is the first value, that is hello. So you can see the output hello is printed. All right. Now this argument is very important. We use it for the multiple purposes. Say an example, if you want to say something which is how many argument you are passing. So that arguments will return you the number of arguments we are passing. Say an example, I'm saying here document dot write reflect. Okay, and here I'm saying dot length. Okay, so it gives me 0 in this case because I'm not passing any argument. Okay, now say an example, I need to write a function which finds the sum of any number of parameters. So what I will do, I will say function and I will call it sum. Okay, in this function, what I need to do, I need to know how many parameters are passed. So I need not to worry because I already have a arguments property which I can use for the functions. So I'm taking var length equals to arguments dot length. Okay, so this tells us how many parameters are passed. Okay, now next I'm taking where result equals to 0. I will take one more variable called where I equal to 0. Now I'm saying for loop I am using I equal to 0, I less than length I plus plus. Okay, so here what I'm doing, result plus equals to arguments I. So I'm adding first argument, second argument, and so on. And in the end, I'm returning result. Now let us call this method. So I'm writing document dot write and some method. I'm passing value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. So I pass this many parameters. Now let us see what it returns. So it returns the sum of all this, that is 45. Let me reduce some. So let me remove all this. Let us see now. So see how powerful is this functions in JavaScript. Now there is further few topics related to function, which is the overloading. Function overloading. In function overloading, what is happening that in normal C++ or .NET or Java language, we know that the function overloading is same name of the method but having different signatures. So say an example, I have a method called say message, which is I'm passing a parameter message, and now what I'm doing, I'm saying document.write message. So whatever I'm passing in the parameter, same I want to print. Now I'm creating one more method with the same name, say message only. And now I'm not passing any parameter. So this is in our normal high level languages, this is known as a function overloading. Okay, and what I'm writing here, document dot write hello world. So I have defined two methods with the same name. Now let me call say message and I'm passing a value, say Raman. Okay, now let us see what is the output. The output is coming as hello world, whereas I was expecting I'm passing a parameter, so this method should call and it should return this, but it is not like that. In JavaScript, overloading in this way is not supported. The reason is that once you define a function and if you redefine the function, then it overrides the previous definition. So that is what happening into the JavaScript functions. So it is something, if we again talk about behind the scene what is happening, there is a variable same as we are creating. Okay, and I'm saying function. Okay, or it's not function, new function, which is returning message. Okay, not returning message, basically it's a body only. So where we are just saying document dot write message, right? And after that what we are doing, we are saying same message. We are saying same message equals to new function, and here I'm saying doc document dot write hello world. So this particular definition is, firstly it was created for this, and this definition is basically I'm, because it's a variable and which is override by the second definition. That is why it it always executes the last message. So if I remove this and if I make this statement in the end, now we can see Raman will be the output, right? So this way we can see that how the function behavior when same name has the multiple defin definitions. Then how to solve this problem? How can we solve this problem? If we want the overloading in our JavaScript, then what we can do, we will create the same function. We'll create a function and function name is same as this. In this, what we can use the argument property. So I'm saying if arguments dot length is greater than 0, then document dot write arguments 0. Okay, else document dot write hello world. So here if I call it same as this, then it should print hello world. And if I pass some parameter into it, then it should call the parameter value, Raman in this case. So as of now, this is all about the functions. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please subscribe if you feel that this is helpful, and stay tuned for my next video. Thank you very much.